All right, here's a game for you. This one has a great title, Castle or Else. You'll see why. So this is a Dutch defense, and I'm going to play Staunton Gambit. So it's an odd move, order. Normally he plays pawn takes, knight c3, knight f6. So it's by transposition. This is the standard Staunton Gambit accepted. Bishop g5, e6, a solid move where he basically is declining the gambit. Well, I'm sorry, not declining it, but he's not trying to hold it with d5, which is a mistake. So f3, hey, you know, take a free pawn, trade it off, sweet. We'll take the development, sir. So, you know, pretty good, pretty dangerous too. b6 is a little slowish. Bishop to d3. This is, you know, the main square for that bishop. Bishop b7. You know, it's solid looking and everything, but it's super, super dangerous. White is in no danger. He played 2 knight moves, 2 bishop moves, and both bishops are on really good squares. So, and then castle. So, hasn't made a mistake. And it's fairly easy. Bishop to d6, you know, pretty good. Bishop e7 is usually more normally played. And so I decided knight jumps into e5 because that pawn cannot kick me out. And he can't take that knight. Bishop takes knight, pawn takes bishop, and he'll get shredded. Because the only defense to the knight under the pin would be h6, but bishop g6 carves him like a Christmas turkey. So that's not going to happen. So knight e5 is exclamation. Really a good move. Queen e7, this is why, you know, this slow business gets you into trouble. Because it's one move too late. Bishop chops. Pawn chops is forced, obviously. And then pause the video and see if you can figure out what white should do. And we're back. So, hopefully you figured it out. Queen to h5 check, fairly common. Not devastating, but it's a real pain. He made a mistake. If he goes the other way, he also gets reamed. So it's just bad for him one way or the other. There's nothing he could do. You know, king d8, knight f7 check, and I'm going to chop that rook. He'll kill the knight for sure. But, you know, white's position is great. Every piece is developed except for the a1 rook. And black's pieces are not really developed even though they're off the back rank. So, chop suey again. This is, you know, one of the key moves, really. I don't know. Bishop takes h7 probably isn't that great because he would just play queen takes, and so you got to do knight g6 check, which is a good move. He's pretty much busted at this point. So think about this one and then pause the video. And we're back again. So you have two choices. You can take with the queen or take with the bishop. So both have their advantages, really. I took with the bishop because I'm just interested in cleaning his clock and taking as many pieces off the board as possible, maximizing that H pawn that's passed. When the queens are gone, this endgame is going to be destructive for him because of 2 rooks versus his 1 rook and a bishop. Whoop-de-doo. So, it's just basic stuff. I'm just forcing the wholesale trade of pieces to my favor. Crunch. So now, look at this. White has a pawn and a rook for a bishop. And a developmental edge. It's just devastating. There's almost no chance for him to survive this. Okay, got a cheap threat there. I'll make a cheap threat of my own, which would win his bishop, basically. That's all it would do. So, smart move. And I did a smart move. Guard my pawn. C3 is coming. I have a white bishop. I'll put pawns on black squares. I'm good. So it's all good. I just want to get rid of those pieces, man. The more we trade, the bigger my second rook looks. Hooray, you took my knight. Bishop takes check. Rook takes rook. Bishop takes check, as he should play. Get the pawn back, but it doesn't matter. I mean, bishop takes h2 check is the correct move, but you're already lost. So it doesn't really mean a whole lot when you play the correct moves when you're dead lost. He's dead lost. Magnus Carlsen can't save this game because he's just gone. That rook is going to park on f1, and that pawn is going to roll to victory like you wouldn't believe. Take some more. You know, just threatening to trade rook for knight at any moment with a very, very easy win. You know, I don't care about trying to win fancy. Can't be stupid. King to g3. What would you play for black if white plays king to g3? Think about it for a second. I'm sure you guys saw it. If king g3, knight h5 check wins a rook, and then you're struggling to draw, throwing away an easy win. We're not in the business of throwing wins away. I know I'm not. Goodbye. I mean, I could have just taken that knight and he's dead. But he's not going anywhere. So I'm just going to make it worse by going king to g3. To say he has nothing is an understatement. Goodbye. That's the problem whenever, you know, someone has an end game where you have rook versus knight or rook versus bishop. There's always that underlying threat that rook trades itself for the minor piece because the king and pawn ending is just a stone cold win. And this is a stone cold win with two pawns up and one of them being a distant pass pawn. You know, 4 files to the right of the other one. So there's nothing you can do. Just in case, you know, I'm not paying attention, but I am paying attention. Oh, and this is another game in 3 minutes. So take every pawn your opponent has, because if the time runs out somehow, if your machine lags or something, because it could happen. Online play, you could lag. If you lag out, I can't lose this game even if I lag out. It would be a draw because he has no material left. So that's one of the things when you're playing a speed game, take all the material. Because in a speed game, he has no material, he cannot win. Well, you want to go after that pawn? I got one just like it over here. My king is in a shepherd position. He can't get to it. You can have that b pawn. Cutting him off. You're not going anywhere, buddy. Constrictor. This is like a boa constrictor right here. Everywhere he moves, I chop him down. Now he's stuck to 2 squares. Boa constrictor is just going to, you know, finish the job. Bingo. All right, pretty good game. You know, very important lesson. You cannot slowly defend a Gambit opening. If you do, you saw what happened. Because he was slow on his defense with b6 and bishop b7, And bishop d6 is an inferior move, as we showed, because knight e5 comes in. You can't mess with it. When the queen wasted that other move, he's wasted really 3 moves: b6, bishop b7, and q e7. None of those did anything for his defense, and you saw that because of bishop chops, and he just gets ground down. You know, because of 3 slow moves, you know, that don't really address what's going to happen. It's like he fell asleep. Not that he's a bad player. It's that when you're defending a Gambit opening, you got to be on top of business, as you see what happens when you're not. He was not on top of his business, and I just, you know, ate him like Pac-Man. I chowed down on his pawns like they were Pac-Man pellets. And that's what you do, or what you're going to have to do when you play tournament games. That's what you do. This is how you win tournament games. You have to be able to take advantage of small misplayed openings. I mean, I wasn't brilliant. It was just, this is just solid stuff that you have to learn. So when you do your homework and prepare yourself for these things, when they show up, it's like, well, you know, I've already done the homework. I've got this. I know exactly what to do. And so that's what happened. I've done my homework long ago. And you saw the result. He just got ground down by someone who had out-prepared him for this, you know, it wasn't a specific opening line sequence of 20 moves deep. He was out-prepared in general, and you saw that the execution of the preparation, he was eaten alive. There was nothing he could do. So the key lesson really is to really you got to pay attention when you're defending a Gambit attack. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, learned something from it, and you know what to do. All right, take it easy.